Welcome to Global Frontline Reports. The conflict has now engulfed the entire Middle East. The flames of war have touched NATO borders and are now reaching the doorstep of India.
Turkey confirmed its air defense systems intercepted a stray missile near the sovereign border.
Meanwhile, in the Indian Ocean, a U.S. nuclear submarine has torpedoed an Iranian warship.
The vessel was reportedly attending an international fleet review at the invitation of India.
Sri Lankan naval forces managed to rescue 30 sailors from the burning wreckage today.
However, reports indicate over 100 personnel were left behind in the open waters.
Critics are calling this a new low, comparing it unfavorably to historical naval protocols.
Even during past world wars, opposing forces often attempted to rescue surviving sailors.
The U.S. Defense Secretary has not yet commented on the decision to abandon the survivors.
In the capital, promises of liberation have turned into a campaign of relentless carpet bombing.
Over 1,000 lives have been lost as precision strikes give way to widespread destruction.
Analysts suggest this is punishment for the refusal of the Iranian leadership to surrender.
The U.S. government has issued a stark warning regarding safety in the wider Middle East region. Officials admit they can no longer guarantee the security of citizens residing in these zones. Back home, the U.S. president is facing intense scrutiny over the shifting objectives of this war.
Questions are being raised about whether foreign allies are now driving American foreign policy.
Initially, the stated goal was solely to neutralize nuclear facilities to prevent proliferation. The narrative then shifts to regime change and the removal of the current Islamic leadership.
Now, key advisors are describing this conflict as a religious war rather than a strategic one.
Shocking news has emerged regarding the attack on the British airbase in Cyprus.
Initial reports claimed an Iranian drone targeted the strategic Royal Air Force facility. However, new forensic analysis confirms the drone did not originate from Iranian territory. This mirrors the attack on the major Saudi Aramco oil facility earlier this month.
Intelligence eventually cleared Tehran of direct involvement in that specific strike.
Global observers are now asking if a third party is orchestrating these attacks.
This tactic, known as a false flag operation, aims to unite nations against a common foe.
Mipula. History provides chilling examples of this strategy being used to trigger major wars.
In 1939, the Gleiwitz radio station attack was staged to justify invasion. Japan utilized a similar staged explosion near a railway line to occupy Manchuria.
The 1954 Lavon Affair saw operatives bomb Western targets in Egypt.
The goal was to blame local factions and force British troops to remain in the Suez.
The failed plot forced the immediate resignation of the defense minister at that time.
In 1967, the USS Liberty intelligence ship was attacked in open waters.
Over 30 American sailors were killed and 170 others injured. Official reports called it an error, but declassified documents suggest otherwise.
Some historians argue the intent was to draw the United States into a regional war.
Today, there are concerns that similar tactics are being deployed in the Middle East.
Before the outbreak, diplomatic channels between Washington and Tehran were active.
The sudden escalation shattered a potential peace deal that was nearly finalized.
Tehran acknowledges it cannot defeat the Western alliance in a conventional war.
The strategy has shifted to asymmetric warfare to break the economic backbone.
A key component involves halting maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz.
20% of the global oil and gas supply passes through this narrow choke.
Military experts state they do not need to sink every tanker to cause disruption.
The mere threat of attack is enough to paralyze international shipping logistics.
Global maritime insurers are now refusing coverage for vessels entering the zone.
Shipping companies have been told to proceed completely at their own financial risk.
Commercial fleets are halting operations, fearing total loss of their assets today.
The U.S. president is now urgently pledging government-backed protection for ships.
The administration promises to provide insurance and naval escorts for all tankers.
This move places an immense financial burden on the American taxpayer immediately.
Pentagon officials estimate the war cost has reached $1 billion a day. As the conflict drags on, these daily operational expenses are set to skyrocket. Defense officials admitted to Congress that they cannot intercept every threat. Reports suggest the U.S. is diverting critical defense systems from other allies.
Military assets are being relocated to prioritize the defense of the primary ally.
Critics are questioning if this aligns with the promised national first policy.
Meanwhile, intelligence agencies are reportedly opening a new front in the north.
Reports indicate the U.S. is arming Kurdish factions to destabilize the Iranian border.
The strategic goal is to incite internal rebellion within the outlying provinces.
The U.S. president has reportedly spoken directly with key opposition group leaders.
Neighboring Iraq has vowed to prevent its sovereign territory from being used.
Analysts warn of the long history of these militias being used as disposable proxies.
Back in Washington, the Senate voted on the War Powers Resolution late today. The legislative measure to limit military action failed by a very narrow margin.
This defeat allows the administration to continue operations without approval.
Despite the vote, polling shows a majority of citizens oppose the widening conflict. And many Americans are questioning the strategic purpose of this costly engagement. The geopolitical fallout is now threatening neutral nations across the globe.
Spain faced severe diplomatic pressure after refusing base access to U.S. forces.
The administration threatened consequences for not supporting the war effort.
This aggressive stance serves as a stark warning to Indian defense policymakers.
Analysts ask if the U.S. will demand access to Indian naval ports and air bases next.
Nations must decide if they will surrender sovereignty to these foreign demands.
Critics argue this behavior demonstrates a disregard for international law and order.
The conflict proves that no region is safe from the widening instability today.
As tensions rise, the definition of global security is being rewritten daily. Please stay tuned to Global Frontline reports for continuous coverage of this crisis.